Welcome back. Today we're going to do some video editing. This is for VID00, which is basically a Premiere Pro introduction. In this tutorial we're going to talk about what Premiere Pro is, how to use it. We're going to talk about how to create a project file. We're going to talk about adding videos to that project file. We're going to talk about using the timeline and what the playhead is on the timeline. We're going to cover some really basic editing, basically using ripple deletes, and how to select just audio so we can put some music on your video compilation video. So what is this video supposed to be about? We're supposed to be taking all of the 3D modeling video screencasts that you've been accumulating so far and putting them into just one big video where you can show somebody one video file and it has all the 3D models that you made. So let's check out how to do this. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up Premiere Pro. How do you open up Premiere Pro? You're going to click on the Start menu down here, or this little circle down here, and you type in PREM, and you should see Adobe Premiere Pro show up right here. If you want, you can right-click on this, and you can pin it to your taskbar. If you pin it to your taskbar, it will show up down here on the bottom of your computer screen right here. It's a little PR, and it's like a purple square. So if I click on that, you'll see that it opens Premiere Pro up. Premiere Pro is one of the most used video editing software suites on the market. There's a lot of multi-million-dollar studios that use it. It's pretty fantastic. So let's start off by making a new project. When you first open up Premiere, it's going to show the start screen, and basically it shows you all the projects that you have previously worked on right here. So you could just jump right in and start editing a project that you've previously done. In this case, though, we're going to create a new project. So I'm just going to click right here where it says New Project. All right, now a window is going to pop up that says New Project, and this allows us to name our project and also determine where it's going to be saved. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it Period 7 Video Compilation. And I'll put McDowell. I'll put my name in there as well. All right, there we go. For its location, if I click right here on Browse, I can change where it's going to save the project file. In this case, I made a folder in my Videos folder. I made a folder called Premiere, and that's where I'm going to save this to. So what you can do is you can click on Browse right here, and you want to go to your Videos folder. I right-clicked and went to New, and I created a new folder, and I'm just calling it Premiere, so I can save all of my Premiere files that I'm ever going to use from this point on. I'm going to save it right here in my Videos folder in the Premiere folder. So there we go. Now I've changed the name of my project, and I've changed where it is saving to. There's a bunch of other options down here that you'll notice, but we're not going to worry about any of those. We don't have to do any of that. After you have change what the name of your video is and where it's saving the project file to, you can press OK. Now when you first get into Premiere Pro, it's going to be kind of intimidating because there's so many windows and there's so many little things that you can do, but I promise I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible to where you only have to do a very few specific functions. So if you'll notice, when you're in Premiere Pro, you're going to see at the top of the screen up here that there is Assembly, Editing, Color, Effects, Audio, Graphics, Libraries, and Titles. These are all the different windows in Premiere that you could potentially affect. So if you wanted to do some special effects work, you could click on Effects. If you wanted to change the color of your video to maybe make it look better, make it look brighter or darker, you could do that here. If you wanted to change the audio and add some effects to it, you could do that. If you wanted to add some graphics that lay on top of your video, you could do that. If you wanted to put some titles on, all that stuff can be found up here at the very top. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to click on Assembly, which is over here on the left, the top left. When I click on Assembly, you're going to see this big window over here that says Import Media to Start. This is where we're going to take all the video files that we want to put in this project, and we're going to load it in here. So there's two ways to do it. You can double click on here and it'll open this video or this window where you can choose which files you want to use, or you could open up a file explorer like this and go to where your videos are, and you could just drag the videos directly into where it says import media to start. So I'm going to go to my videos folder, and I'm going to go to my captures folder because that's where all my screencasts are. And now here we are. I've got all these different videos that I could potentially put into my video project. I want all the ones that have 3D modeling here. If I want to select each individual one, I could do that and click and drag. But if I want to select all of them, I could do that too by holding down Control and clicking on all the ones that I want to select. So I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to click on each one of the videos that I want to import in this video project. So you're going to want all of your 3D modeled projects, and you're also going to want whatever your music file was, the music screencast that you're going to add, you also want to add that. So I'm going to add that right here. I'm going to use this Mr. Rogers video right here. Now that I have all of them selected, I'm going to click and drag them into this area that says import media to start. And when I do that, you're going to see all those files appear right here. You might see them like this, or you might see them as icons. You can change between the list or icon view down here on the bottom left. If I want to see just what the names are, I can click on the list. If I want to see their icons, I can click on this, and then I can actually see a graphic interpretation of each one of the videos. And what's cool about Premiere is if I hover over this icon, you'll notice that there's a blue line that shows up down here on the bottom. And if I move from the left to the right, you can actually see what that video has inside of it. So right here, I'm just hovering my mouse over the video file. And as I go from the left to right, I can see what's inside that video. This is very helpful for if you are in a big video production and you want to see what's inside each video clip without actually having to load it up and play it. You can just hover your mouse over it like this, and it makes it very easy to see what's going on. Cool. All right. So now I have all of these video files selected here in my video section here. I want to talk about the timeline. The timeline is how everything is edited in your video in time. On the left-hand side over here, this is the beginning of your video, the beginning of time. And as you go to the right, it's going to move time forward. So what I want to do is I want to select all of these video files right here, and I want to drag them into this timeline right here. So I'm just going to click and drag a box over them, or I can click in this area here and press Control-A, and that will select everything. Now I can click and drag all these videos. I'm going to drag all of them into the timeline. And when I do that, you'll see them all show up like this. So two things are going to happen. You're going to see the video up here in a preview panel, and you're also going to see down here a timeline, which basically has each one of your clips loaded up. Now we have everything assembled and ready. We're going to go into the editing mode. So if you click up here where it says editing, now we are in editing mode, and you can see the timeline gets a little bigger. Over here on the left, you may see your project files still. It's they're a little bit smaller, but you still have all the same things as far as the same types of windows. So I've got my videos down here. Let's talk about how the timeline works. Lucky for you, you're already one step of the game when it comes to Premiere Pro because you've done some work in Photoshop. If you remember, Photoshop works with layers. We have a layer on the bottom, a layer on top, a layer above that, and we can keep on adding layers if we want. What's cool is with Premiere Pro and with video, it's the same thing. Look over here, we have 3 different layers. We have Video 1, Video 2, and Video 3. These are like 3 different Photoshop layers that are sitting on top of each other. And look, there's the familiar eyeball. If we click on this eyeball, you can make it to where you see it or you don't. You can make it to where layers are invisible or visible right here. But there's something else. You'll notice that these top 3, this is V1, V2, and V3. underneath that, there's A1, A2, and A3. So these top three, the V channels, are all video layers, and the ones below that are all audio layers. So that means that we could have, typically with movies, you have a layer, a background layer of like your actors, for example. And then if you're watching like a news broadcast or a movie, there might be a special effects layer where they added something on top of the video layer. With audio, you often have people talking as one layer. You'll have special sound effects like you could have special sound effects like people walking or dogs barking or atmospheric effects. And lastly, you might have something like a score, so you'll have actual music playing in the background. So that's why we have 3 different channels for audio, and we have 3 separate channels for video. Alright, so if you notice down here in our timeline, we have all of our different clips already loaded up. Let me show you real quick how we can zoom in, because that's very useful. If you look down here in our timeline, we have these scroll bars right here. And if you'll notice on the edges of the scroll bar, there are some circles. If you click on that circle and drag it, you can make it smaller, which then basically zooms in on your timeline up here. So this is how you can zoom in. There's something else that's important about this, and that is this blue line right here. You'll notice above your timeline right here that there's a yellow line. Hello. I'm sorry? Everybody please be quiet. Hold on a second. There's no Maria here, sorry. All right. What? So you would go to your videos, video captures folder. So click on videos here, go to your captures, and then just drag them in to your timeline or to the assembly over here. Yeah, you got to drag them from here into the timeline. So you want to select all of them and drag them in there. Okay, so I have all these clips. You'll notice that I can click and drag these clips around. I can drag them from one layer to the other just by clicking and dragging. So now I have my Mr. Rogers clip here where I can drag it to be on a higher layer or a bottom layer. And I can do the same thing with the audio down here. Basically, I can click and drag them to move them from layer to layer. What I want to do is I want to take all of my video clips and move them together. So now each one of these video clips is going to play. The important thing to take away from this is that there is a video playhead. The playhead is this blue line right here. As I move this line, or I click where this big flag is towards the top, I can change what point in time I am currently in. And you'll see it reflected up here in the top right area. I can go to the beginning of my clip, or I can move forward in time simply by clicking and dragging this blue line. I can reorder the clips if I want by clicking and moving them around. But right now we at least have all of our video clips loaded up and they're ready to be manipulated and moved around. We'll do a little bit of basic editing with our next lesson, and we'll also make it to where you can select a very specific audio track so that we can make the music track play but not play the video that goes to the music. Right now we've learned how to make a project file, how to add videos to the project. We've learned about what the timeline is, which is down here, and we've also learned about this blue line that we call the playhead, which tells us what point in time we are currently in. For now, you can save this project by going to File and Save. It will save your project where you asked it to be saved. and we're going to go over basic editing and selecting audio in our next lesson. I hope you have a great time, and I'll see you later.